Hey, we don't got a whole lot of anything really special. We're just training shoulders, and my shoulders are by far probably one of the weakest areas um, of my body personally. And so, what I like to personally do is, especially this being kind of like still working my way back into the gym, is building a lot of mind muscle connection. My voice cracked there, and also I'm trying out whether to see what. I'm trying out putting my bonnet on. Not my bonnet, gosh. What's bandana? I couldn't think of the word. They start with B's, both of them. Anyways, but my bandana on and see if this kind of helps the microphone quality. So, it might be a little bit of an odd look, but I think it'll work for now. But honestly, I think I'm just gonna start here pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Shoulder press machine. I'm gonna do a little bit of a variation of my lateral raises. Really, it's honestly just to work that mind muscle connection back and really get a good feel for it. And then probably just hit rear delts, a little bit of shrugs to activate my traps. Call it good. And since it's just gonna be shoulders today, and I'm gonna take my time, but it's gonna be fairly quick. I'm gonna hit the other weak area of my body physique-wise in my calves. And that's just because my calves are strong. I can lift a lot of weight with them, but I'm a tall dude, and so filling out my calves is such a hassle. And when I was more consistent in my routine and before, life kind of happened and whatnot, I had to train my calves so much, so much to just get some growth in it. So I'll have to do that today, but we're just gonna warm up, see how we feel today. I've not trained my shoulders in a while, and I usually have to be very careful because my left shoulder, I know for a fact, I don't know whether, like, not everything is super aligned. Sometimes I see it in the mirror, and I feel like I can feel it, especially when I'm lifting. Make it a little bit higher. There we go. That feels pretty good. I think keep it pretty standard. 4, maybe 5 sets. We'll see how we go. And depending on how I feel, I might try drop sets or supersets or something. Everything feels pretty good. And before I work my way back into a dumbbell shoulder press, I like this machine obviously just because my arms can't go out of alignment and I can't be swinging back and forth. And honestly, if anybody wants to drop some tips down below as to how to grow your shoulders, I'll take them. Honestly, I need all the help I can get. So, drop a comment down below. Let me know.
I know I'm in your picture though. I got 2 more sets.
Oh no, don't worry. I try and, I mean, obviously I film, but I try and stay out of respect people's.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. But no, just let me know if I'm in your way at all. I'll move
You're good.
for sure.
I was trying to stay out of your way.
Appreciate it, man. I was kind of worried I was not going to feel it very well in my shoulders, where You ever have workouts that feel like you know what you're trying to hit, but it doesn't feel like it's connecting very well? But that felt really good. And again, out of old habit, I kind of try and push it till failure. And so my last few reps I'm barely able to get it off the ground, but it is what it is. That last set, I definitely had to drop it. Dang. While I'm looking at my camera angle, it's like cutting me short by a lot. That last set, I wanted to drop, I had to drop to a lighter weight at the very end of it just because I was able to get 6 reps on the 85. And while it felt good, the pump felt good, and I was satisfied with how it felt, it was more of I wasn't satisfied with the number, so, you know. And I think I dropped down to 40 pounds, and I was only able to get like 4 out of that, but you know, felt good. So I think I'll drop down to 70 for this last set, call it good, and then do maybe lateral raises next. You know, I just realized that I've been going for maybe, I don't know, give or take 10-15 minutes now, and I have my earbud in, but I've not been playing any music whatsoever. I'll take 8. Well, hopefully you guys can see me okay. But this is it's pretty much doing lateral raises, but just seated. And rather than doing a straight arm movement, I've really liked, well, there's a seated machine where your elbows are kind of tucked in, and it almost sounds weird, but you're almost like it's almost like you're flapping your wings if you're a bird. That's honestly how I feel. Honestly, it's the same exact motion. I just do it with dumbbells and that variation. It really helps just isolate my side delts a lot better. And typically when I've had to maybe just kind of get off the heavy weights, go back to simple basics and work on form, this is a go-to for me when I want to kind of rework or really refocus on my mind-muscle connection. So we'll see how this goes. We're gonna go decently light. It's 20 pounds, nothing crazy. I can't remember though. I feel like sitting forward would be more comfortable. If you love the machine, the side delt machine, your lateral raise machine, but you don't have it and you have dumbbells, try this out. Maybe it might help. With a machine, all you gotta do is worry about just working your elbows, your forearms to your wrists, you can leave them limp if you want. The only difference is you just kind of focus on, especially when the wrist motion is almost like trying to lift up your pinky, almost like your pinky is the one pulling the weight, and that kind of helps keep everything balanced when you're up here and you're not struggling with the weight on your wrist. So almost think of your wrist as a hook, and they're almost like you're almost trying to rotate your thumbs inwards. I try and hold that, even if it's for a second. Get to the top, hold it for a second, and then slowly come back down. And that really pulls. It feels good, it burns. It really helps me focus on exactly where I'm going. Just because if I move, hold it up there for a second, sometimes it's tempting for us to almost like lean into our back muscles a little bit for our shoulders, at least for me personally. And so when I hold it up there, I can tell exactly what's being activated, because for that split second, that the tension on that muscle is just so extreme that, you know, you can focus on like, okay, you know, I can feel my lats being activated a little bit, or it's just my side delt. So this is not a movement that I typically go for when I'm trying to hit my rear delts, but I was trying to think through doing like rear delt flies with the dumbbells or the rear delt fly machine, and I think both of them like are amazing. I love especially the dumbbells, but I wanted something that I could take slower, almost like try and really isolate and hold. And face bolts are usually good for your rear delts, like they're amazing, but it's just never a go-to for me. So honestly, I can probably count maybe three. I can count 3 times for sure that I know I've done this ever since I started actually lifting weights. So I don't know. I don't know why I never really go for them, but we're gonna try them for today, see how it feels. Hopefully everything feels good. And because I've not used this, it's not something I do. I'm not sure exactly what weights to go on, so we'll try and warm up on like 60 pounds here, call it good, and see where we go from that. That felt pretty good. It feels good enough in terms of like weight. I feel like I can control it really well, and I can really squeeze my rear delts. I want to go heavier, but it almost feels like this weight, if I try and go heavier, I'll almost lose that control that I have. So we'll see how it goes, but I think it should be fine. I feel like I can go heavier. We'll go to 100 should be good. I think that felt good. I'm able to isolate it and still hold that weight if I need to get a better squeeze. So I think I'm gonna stick in here between the 80 to the 100. And 3 sets of that and then call it good. So I'm gonna try and record this outro with my cat being curious of the tripod, so he keeps on trying to knock it over. But, come here, bud, stay with me. I just finished up cardio, came back home, gonna make a protein shake and everything, but, oh, sorry, I was on your tail. Hey. Something that I thought would be useful, I don't know, maybe not for everyone, but maybe somebody just needs to hear this. It's something that I definitely needed to hear for sure. And, oh man, got sweat in my eyes. But, so I'm doing a thing where I am reading, just for my own personal benefit, reading through the Bible from the beginning all the way to the end. But I'm taking it real slow. I'm doing my own study. I'm doing it at my own pace. And I read through Genesis, and this was a while back. I'm finishing up Exodus right now. And if you guys find this at all helpful and maybe want me to do more thoughts and share content like this, let me know definitely in the comments. So I was reading through Genesis, and for those who are familiar with the story of Joseph, you obviously know the details in that. For those who maybe are not so familiar with that story, Joseph was one of 12 brothers, and pretty much was his dad's favorite, was loved absolutely, got everything he wanted. He was a spoiled kid, to be honest, but he was good. He was given the vision or the dream that one day he would be a great ruler and all his brothers would be under his rule pretty much. And that seems super exciting. And I was reading through this detail part of the story, and it's interesting because this popped out, what I'm about to share is something that I never saw prior to. I've read this story so many times, and we've all heard it for those who are familiar with it. But this time I was reading through it, and Joseph is a kid. He grows up in an environment where he's his dad's favorite. He has the dream and the vision to one day be a great ruler, and he gladly shares this with his brothers. Obviously, they're super jealous and they absolutely hate him. But for long story short, the brothers' jealousy just grows and grows and grows to the point where they decide to want to kill him. And one of the brothers convinces the rest that they should spare him and instead sell him to slavery. So Joseph is then sold into slavery. And for the next 13 years, his life is pretty much serving an Egyptian official. And then part of that 13 years is also being in prison because he was wrongly accused of sleeping with this official's wife. And so it's an interesting story. I was reading through, I've read this a million times, but I'm trying to study through things. It's easy to read and just cruise through it, but I'm really trying to study everything. And this really jumped at me and it really helped. But Joseph was a man, despite all the things, we eventually know that, long story short, he becomes a great ruler in Egypt. And his brothers, he eventually gets reunited with his families, and his brothers are under his rule. And through him, God uses Joseph to save the land of Egypt and the surrounding lands from a 7-year famine that swept through the land. And so that's how Joseph's story ends. He eventually is a great ruler and he rules over Egypt, only second to the throne. But it was interesting to me reading through this and looking at, why did Joseph have to go through all that stuff? Why slavery? Why for 13 years, it says for 13 years he was exiled as a slave into Egypt. And then part of that 13 years he's in prison for being wrongfully accused. But the really cool thing is I read each part, each transition, whether he's being sold into slavery and when he's thrown into prison, it says God is with him. And it brought up an interesting question to me where, and maybe some of you can relate to this, but you get to a point in your life where you ask God, if you're with me or if you know the things I'm going through, why are they still happening? Why are all these horrible things happening? Why do things never seem to work out for me? And coincidentally, I was in one of those places as I was reading through this. And it really came to my attention as I finished up the whole story, everything kind of connected. And it really hit me that before, Joseph was given this dream when he was young, but almost immediately you'd think that there'd be some sort of path that seems good and almost, for lack of better words, almost easier, a better, smoother life for him to grow into that. But he's almost immediately just sold into slavery and then thrown into prison, and that's 13 years of his life. Now I don't know about you guys, but if I'm Joseph in that situation, I'm really questioning God as to what the heck, because it seems like this is what you have for me, and this is what I want, and this is the things that you've told me I'm heading towards, but then I'm a slave now. That doesn't make any sense. But reading through the whole story, the dots connected in my head, and I thank God for this. But Joseph, those 13 years of being sold into slavery and being imprisoned, that was God disciplining and preparing Joseph to be a leader, not by the world standards, but by his standards. God needed Joseph to be a man who can take care of an entire nation. He was going to put that responsibility on Joseph, which we eventually know that he does. And Joseph is smart, wise, and he's able to navigate the famine for 7 years. But God uses that time in Joseph's life to really prepare him, because I really thought about it. And Joseph, growing up in a place where he was the favorite and he was sheltered by his father and he was given everything he wanted, the best of food, clothing, whatever, that's a pretty good environment to raise a spoiled kid, right? A kid who feels entitled to everything. And that's not the kind of ruler that God wants to entrust an entire nation and his people to. And so God takes him away from a place where he gets everything he wants and takes him to the bottom of the barrel. He's a slave, he's a servant in a foreign land, no family, no one that he knows. But it says God is with him even through that. And so it makes things super interesting to just see in perspective that God, before he's able to entrust him with an entire nation, he has to put him in the position of a servant. Are you able to just serve? Because at his father's place, he's in a place where it's all about him. His father has built that for him pretty much, where he gets everything he wants. He's treated the best. He's a slave. He has to be taking care of other people's needs, other people's wants. And so God grows a servant heart in him, a heart that's more focused on other people. And God never leaves him. God sees him through all these things. He just never stops it. And so that makes it very interesting. And even in prison, it still says the same thing, that God was with him. But there also, a really key point that I took away also is the fact that Joseph, in both circumstances, it says that in both cases, when he was serving the official as a slave, it said that Joseph, it talks about how faithful he was, to the point where the official pretty much left everything in Joseph's care other than pretty much what he ate, right? That's the only thing, just a preference thing. I feel like eating whatever today. But everything was under Joseph's care. So that shows a really high level of responsibility and faithfulness to the task you've been given. And then it's the same thing in prison. He was just a faithful man and had such an impact in prison to the point where the warden pretty much almost left the other inmates in his care, and Joseph kind of ran things there a little bit. And so you see an aspect of faithfulness despite the trials, and you see that God is with him, but he doesn't stop the trials from coming his way. And so that's something that it really jumped out on me, and I'm really still processing after it's been a few weeks since I read through that, but it's still something that plays through my head, where rather than ask God or question God why these things are happening to me, why it's tough, why things keep coming my way, whenever it feels like I'm trying to move forward, something happens. A lot of those times, rather than asking why, asking what is it that you want me to learn? What is it that I need to practice? What is it that I need to be disciplined in? You never really see God use a smooth, silky path to discipline us. And in Joseph's case, and a lot of us can relate, whether you believe in scripture and you believe in Jesus or not, we can all relate to the pain and endurance we have to face in this world. And so, I don't know, I thought that might be something encouraging. I need to work on how I talk through these things if you guys want more, just because I feel like I spent 12 minutes on this. But guys, honestly, just keep your head up and Don't take the trials and hardship as bad things. They are difficult, they are challenging, they make you question a lot of things. But if we can keep a mindset of there's something for me to learn here, I think we can go a really long way and we can get the most out of it, even though we are going through a lot of things. And plus, it kind of gives you a little bit of a heart for everyone is kind of going through stuff. But guys, that's something I wanted to share. It's been on my heart for a little bit and I'm still processing it. If you guys want more content like this for me to share what I'm reading, maybe even on a, I don't know, more weekly basis, maybe big things I'm reading through, just let me know in the comment section down below. Again, still trying to get a feel for how these videos should go, but let me know what you guys want more of, less of. If you like how it's going, tell me what you like, what you don't like. I'd appreciate the feedback. But guys, I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat food, but I'll catch you guys later.